first the inside of the camper.
Alright, so here is the compressor in the fridge, and we have chucked some car builders basically under the feet so that it doesn't move at all. So that's all nice and supported. Everything else seems to be really well secured. That's basically the evaporation drip tray, which is nice and deep, so I do not see that water being able to come out of there. So hopefully that'll be enough to ensure a long and fruitful life for our fridge. Okay. Take your time. It's not heavy. You've got this.
More from it towards me. Yeah. Okay, last step, more towards me. Alright. Okay.
That's it, that's all we're going to do, just like that. So go nice and slow towards the... We can actually go kind of a little bit like that, yeah, that works.
Okay, so it's on the left that the fit it doesn't clear. It's like lower than this one.
So Mr. Bobtail was making a break for the shed. We got him, but we're going to put him down because he's pooing everywhere. Because he's scared, I think.
You go back into nature, Mr. Lizard.
There he is.
He's so fast.
He is.
Okay. Legend. All right. What's going on?
So,
There's a bit going on there.
yeah. So today we cut some more alloy, made the foots the toe space or toe kick. So we'll have kitchen sink here going a long ways. Can also be used as a baby bar. Cooktop here and chopping and whatnot. So then it gets interesting. So we've got ducting for the Truma running past the back here. We've got our water tank supplying water to our pump, which we've now mounted on another layer of thermalite, then some rubber, then some car builders rubber, and then it's on these noise-proof grommets, and that just bolted to the floor so he can just do his thing right there. So the water tank will go into the strainer, come out here, haven't done that yet. And then yeah, now we're doing the hot water cylinder, which is the big boy that we've got to do everything around, I guess. And then we've still got to get filters in, we've still got to get the sink in, the plumbing for the sink in, 2 water taps, and a UV filter as well, which will go in here as well. And then we've also got to get electricity in there.
Sounds like a lot, but we are getting there. We made some really good progress the past 2 days. We are on the roll.
Yeah, we're doing well. Just designing the plumbing system to work effectively in this space without removing all of our kitchen space has been interesting. Yeah, we're getting there.
And in the background, what do we have?
We have a life-size fridge. And it is jammed, so it cannot move, which is really cool. So we don't need any straps or anything. We've just wedged the hell out of it into the ceiling basically, so it works really well. Only downside of this fridge, you cannot swap the hinges. We didn't know that until after we bought it. I assumed you could. You definitely cannot on this fridge. So the only issue is we've got to go over here to get stuff out. Ange can still get past. I not so easily. But still, for the money we saved in comparison to our really big 12-volt fridge, it's worth that hassle.
We'll make it work.
Exactly. So yeah, now so far we are like motoring.
Couples who use shifters together stay together. Update. I hate the shifter. You make it look so easy.
It's not a nice tool, but
oh, it's a horrible tool.
Well, you're proving to be a great help, Miss Bridget Angela. Moral support.
Breakfast delivery.
Thank you so much for the plumber.
So what is the plan of action today?
Plan of action today is to plumb up the water filters and the UV filter, which will go to the sink tap, and start to plumb up around the actual water tanks. So that's kind of today's job, and yeah, then we'll have a bit of grasp of the whole plumbing system, and pretty soon we'll be ready to actually start pressure testing, which is cool. And then it'll be wiring and electrical, probably starting from tomorrow maybe.
You've made a lot of good progress there yesterday. It's looking very good. Got some car builders, some rubber.
Yes, it'll be a 3-port manifold. Just use
recycling materials.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That fits on the wall nicely. Yeah, it's good. It's coming along.
Alright.
So first,
breakies. And you might be wondering, what am I doing while Chris is doing all the plumbing? So yesterday I spent a bit of time cleaning and sealing again all the edges at the back of the mug and on the roof, just to see if that leak that we got when we went on a little trip, I fixed it potentially. I couldn't see anything obvious that was like a sign of like a little hole, so I'm hoping I fixed it, but we won't know until the next rain. And then, so this is the beautiful engineered drawing made by me from our kitchen. As we started to assemble the aluminium, I've already pre-cut some aluminium yesterday, and I just label them so that whenever Chris is finished with the plumbing, we can just bolt this one. We prefer not to have them on the way so that it's got a bit more room to play with right now, because otherwise that will get really claustrophobic very fast. So yeah, coming along pretty well. I got a computer here. I'm going to do a bit of editing while I can give a hand to Chris. Can do some filming. The key is to be multitasking. Alright, so we've just installed our 2 new ducting ports for the air conditioning, the Truma Saphir unit that is sitting under the fridge. And the last one. Yes.
Gotta say, it feels quite powerful.
Yeah.
Like more powerful than I thought it would. Maybe running one of these into the cab might not be such a bad idea. change the mode. I should probably read the instructions. I have no idea what.
Never do though.
Maximum power. Many of you will probably remember that Ange and I had our YouTube account hacked a little while ago. Now we basically lost access to our account and had to beg YouTube to give it back, which they did, but they couldn't offer us any suggestions as to why we got hacked in the first place. I mean, we use two-stage authentication on all of our devices, so it really shocked us. However, we do work from random addresses a lot with bizarre Wi-Fi's, and we don't know what their security protocols are, right? So that could be like cafes, libraries, which we did the whole of last year while we were on the road. So it's likely a hacker accessed some of our information that had either been saved or stolen and used that to log into our YouTube account. We are now grateful to be using Surfshark VPN, who have kindly offered to sponsor this current build video you're watching. Now, if you're unfamiliar with a VPN, it basically encrypts all of your personal data on any device, on any Wi-Fi, basically stops anyone from accessing your information and stealing it. Now, another bonus of using a VPN or virtual private network is that you can basically pretend or trick the internet in thinking that you are accessing the internet from anywhere in the world. So for instance, I could pretend I was in America and now I could start accessing American-only TV shows on Netflix here in Australia, or I could do the same if I lived in China and needed to access Facebook. So if you don't use a VPN already, like Ange and I didn't up until very recently, we highly recommend Surfshark VPN. They will give you 83% off if you use the code OUTFIT, and you'll also get another 3 months bonus free, which is best deal in the market, so get onto that.
Alright, that's much better. The floor gets so dirty with our shoes. We had a rule a few months ago, no shoes inside, but it's definitely impossible because we do too much back and forth. And as well during our trip, like the floor was so dirty, so I gave it a good clean because tomorrow we've got an exciting little project that I've been looking forward to. We're installing our flooring. So this is the one that we purchased from Bunnings, some self-adhesive vinyl planks. So technically they are not suitable for any moving vehicle and caravan and things like that, but I've seen people doing it and I think that's the easiest, most affordable kind of like option for us, and it looks very good, easy to clean as well. But what we've done is we've purchased as well additionally just some vinyl adhesive, just to give like extra, I guess, bond to the floor so that it doesn't like lift up or anything. Trying to be proactive in that respect. So yeah, very exciting. But vinyl planning, like for laying on the floor and staggering, there's so much more involved than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a straightforward process, but it wasn't. So I've drafted like a little plan of the mug and the floor. I'll show it to you tomorrow. So it's time to make the interior of the mug a bit nicer. Alright, a little sneak peek of almost half the job of the vinyl done.
It's fast.
Yeah. When you do the like full length and everything, it definitely goes faster. So we had to get used to, I guess, the process. We didn't film too much at first, but basically the first process involved, as I said yesterday, a plan. Then we had obviously to cut them, so we just use a knife. And then Chris is the one then doing the cuts, and he puts the adhesive on the floor and then put the piece in place. How's she looking?
Pretty good. Pretty bloody good.
So gluing the last piece?
Gluing the last piece. Can I please have the glue?
It's way more exhausting than I would have thought, but so relatively easy, easy job.
Yeah, not hard, just
exhausting.
not enjoyable.
Can't wait to see tomorrow. Unfortunately, we have to let obviously the glue set overnight. Technically, you should not even walk on it for the next 24 hours, but I don't know if we'll be able to resist tomorrow morning to get inside. We just have to be very careful.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll glue that piece and come back tomorrow and show you what it looks like. That transformed the place so much. It makes everything look so much brighter and lighter. I really like it. I think I had some question in one of the previous videos where we were starting the wall cladding, so I thought I'd share a bit more about the process today. First of all, very happy with the product. Like now we've made quite a few places. We've got this wall here, this area here I've already pre-cut above the shower and underneath, and the toe kick. So this is gonna go very soon here and here, just to hide all of that. And then I'm gonna get started on this wall and the one just in front of the aircon. So yeah, very happy with the result with both. It's super easy to cut. We just use the miter saw. You can even use like a knife for like little cut, or if you have to kind of like do a notch instead of using a jigsaw, for example. You can use as well a plunge saw, so it's very versatile product in that respect. And then I'll show you in a sec how I attach it to the wall. Alright, so this is what it looks like behind the wall, just like some normal painter's tape, I think it is, just like quite strong, heavy duty, just to make sure like where it connects, like the joint, like it's all good and it doesn't like bend, just in case a bit of movement. And then what we use is just some 3M double-sided scotch, like heavy duty mounting tape that I put on the both sides of the wall, just to give extra support. And the not so fun part is just removing that little plastic cover. Need to have some nails for that. And then I just push the wall into position. Perfection. Alright, as you can see, there is more changes inside the mug. We've completed more walls yesterday and installed our Truma grill vent along with the receiver for the air conditioner, which it looks so good. It transformed the room. Today, one of the missions will be to do this wall, and all the plumbing is done. Chris has been working very hard, so I'm gonna let him introduce you exactly what's going on.
Alrighty, so the plumbing is 99% complete and I've wrapped my head around it now, I think. I didn't film and show you guys kind of as I was doing most of the plumbing, because it's basically making it up as I go and changing things around, and some stuff worked, some stuff didn't. So I thought I'd just give you an overview now that it is complete. So it is very much organized chaos, but everything is sort of routed in a way that I can understand in my head. I didn't go off any plumbing diagrams, but I had a good idea of what's required safety wise for a hot water tank, thanks to a friend. And yeah, we'll get cracking into it. So first up, we start on the outside of the vehicle under here. Got a little manifold going on. Hopefully you can see 2 garden hose fittings and a breather hose. That'll be where you connect a normal hose up for either town water supply, which is the high pressure systems at like a caravan park, or if we just want to fill up our fresh water tanks from, say, excuse me, a house hose or anything like that. All right, so let's go inside. Okay, so now at the entranceway we've got this little 3-port manifold thing, I guess, that I made just out of some old foam. So that's the breather hose going down that you saw before, and that is routed from this fresh water tank here. Now this will act as an overflow as well. So once we fill our tanks up from outside, when the water starts flowing out of the pipe, we know that they're full to capacity. We don't actually have a gauge on the outside of the vehicle to tell us that. I think it's a bit unnecessary. Okay, so here we have our normal water tank supply. So underneath, connects up, goes through a 500 kPa pressure reducer. That may never be required, but just on the odd chance we plug into somewhere that has ridiculous pressure and blows a whole system up kind of thing, that'll reduce that to 500 kPa. I can also set that to 350 kPa or higher than 500 if I wanted to. Now that rolls around here and goes into the back of our Atlas tank. Okay, so back here. The other one is our town water supply or high pressure fill up. That's routed with the John Guest hose that eliminates the tanks and it eliminates our water pump and goes straight into the rest of our plumbing system. All right, now to our tanks. These are connected via a ball valve with 3/4 inch piping, so it's nice and really thick. Now that is basically a little bit similar to the grey water tank system, I guess. It's going to link the two basically via gravity. So as you fill one tank up, it'll fill the other one up automatically, and we can shut it off if there was ever a leak on one of them. That goes through to this tank here, which also has a breather hose going through the floor. And now we go to the main part of the system. All right, so hopefully you guys are following so far. Anyway, let's start with basically our town water supply. So that eliminated our water pump, eliminated our tanks, and will run straight around behind the hot water cylinder to here, which I have turned off at the moment on this ball valve manifold that I made. We can turn it on here and turn off the water pump. And basically these are a non-return valve and an isolator at the same time, plus a strainer. So they actually have a little filter in each one that I can change if I ever have a blockage. And now, boom, we've got full pressure to our sink and our shower and to our hot water cylinder, but it has eliminated the need to use our pump. So that's all sorted. Now, we can remove that, turn that off. And now this is how we normally go off grid. So we fill up our freshwater tanks. That is routed through to our pump via soft hose in a loop. So we've got soft hose in a loop going into a strainer that goes into our pump, which is a 40 PSI, 13 liters per minute pump. Goes into another loop of like sort of vibration dampening resistant hose. And that then goes into an interesting little bugger which basically measures our water flow. So that'll need to be connected up to the little screen I've yet to do. As we use water in our system, we will know how much is left in our tanks. It may take a few times for it to run through the system to become accurate, but I think that's a really good way to know how much water we're using at all times, as opposed to running off how much is actually in the tanks. We will know how much usage we have, and I think that's going to be an interesting way to do it. But yeah, so it saves needing to surface mount a gauge in each tank, and they can fail and give you odd readings like we have with our diesel system at the moment. Anyways, that goes into one of these ball valves, which is non-return. So water can never travel back up the line at any stage, which is really important. That goes down and feeds into a T. So that T goes to our shower, so don't need to show that. The other side goes into a Y. One of these Ys loops around and goes into this ball valve here, which supplies our hot water cylinder. I'll talk more about the hot water cylinder soon. Let's go back to that Y. That feeds all the way around and goes up to our new filter system. So with the filter system, we've got a antibacterial sediment filter, so this will block most of the rubbish if it's in our line. We will also have a pre-filter that has silver impregnated carbon. I think it's a 1 micron pre-filter that we'll use as we fill our tanks up or as we connect to town water. So this will be our secondary system already. It's here. So the other filter we've got is a 0.5 carbon filter, which is awesome. So that thing's going to be so much better even than just your normal town water that you drink out of a tap. Then that goes from that filter into a UV filter, which I picked up from eBay. Now the UV filter, basically that's a little reaction chamber with a light that switches on, a UV light, and cooks or radiates, I guess, any bacteria or viruses or anything that made it through the 3 filters already. And that should be a really good way to just kill everything. Now that then feeds through this guy here, which is another John Guest T, and that goes $40. So that shocked Ange and I, but it'll be worth it. So we can turn off this filter system if we need to with the ball valve. So we've got our main water, which will go to our kitchen sink, but the other smaller 1/4 inch line here will go up to another tap, which will be like our drinking water tap, and that will be such nice, pure, clean water, so we can feel safe, you know, if we go to the arse end of nowhere, if you will, we'll know that our water is drinkable and not going to get us sick. So back to our hot water cylinder now. This one was a little bit complicated, and I had help from a friend on Instagram, so thanks mate for helping me just wrap my head around what is required in Australia in terms of safety standards, which I also found out it's actually a bit different for a domestic system to, say, a Caravan mobile system, but I think I've got things under wraps here. So as that water goes in, it feeds up into a thermostatic mixing valve. Now this guy here mixes cold water in with the hot water that will be in the tank. So let's say the hot water is 70 or 80 degrees Celsius. This will mix cold water in, and from this knob here, I can adjust what temperature of maximum the hot water comes out of our taps. So say a kid couldn't burn themselves, we couldn't burn ourselves, and the main bonus of that is our hot water cylinder. The hot water will last longer because it'll be diluted when it comes out. So that's that thermostatic mixing valve, and that is also connected to a pressure relief valve. So if there's ever too much pressure in here, it'll release, and it can also drain through the floor out of a drain pipe here as well. So I think that covers the majority of the hot water cylinder. What I have yet to plumb up, but I've kind of started to, is this actually comes from the heater core on the Unimog and plugs into the hot water cylinder. So as we drive and we're generating all that heat from the motor, which is just disappears, it's just wasted energy. Instead now some of that will route via our coolant from our kind of our radiator system. That'll route into a heat exchanger in the Isotemp and heat that hot water up just as we drive. So the idea is when we do a decent drive, get somewhere, we have hot water without ever needing to use any kind of electricity at all to get that running. Yeah, it's all go. So I've now got to do a little bit of 12 volt wiring. We just picked up some 25 amp auto cable for the pump, and we'll have some decent thickness wiring for some other stuff that's going to go on over here, 12 volt as well. So yeah, it's all on, but hopefully some of that system made sense if it was of interest to you. And if you see any issues, please tell me, because I am kind of flying by the seat of my pants with this, and I may have done something really wrong. The only place I think maybe I could have some redundancies in place is extra ball valves in a few certain areas, so that if I get a leak somewhere, I can eliminate it. But yeah, I think we've got it kind of sorted.
All right, so before we wrap it up here and share with you a huge announcement, I thought I will show you first the inside of the camper. Ta-da! So this is our first ceiling to floor wall. I'm so happy. Obviously this will be as well over there. So it's crazy, just a few days ago, I'll put a photo on the screen. This is what it looked like, and now this is what it look like. Crazy the transformation, just like a few walls and some flooring can do is just amazing. That makes the camper look so much nicer. Chris, as usual, is under the mug somewhere.
Hello.
Doing some more plumbing for the hot water heater.
Yep.
Alright, so this wraps up a very hard-working week. We've made a huge progress. So happy and impressed and proud of what we've achieved.
And we got some awesome news this week. We have been invited, along with Bowser, to the Perth Forward Drive and Adventure Show, which is on the 5th, 6th and 7th of November. So if you can come along to that, we would love to meet you. We will be there with other creators, and yeah, just come along. We'll have Bowser set up in a little booth or something like that, and it would be just so cool if you could come and say g'day and maybe have a walk through Bowser.
Yeah, hopefully you can make it to the event. Looking forward to meeting you all, and we'll see you next week for another build episode.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.